You may have heard of or even done a home inspection if you've purchased a home before. I want to talk a little bit about what goes into a home inspection and some things you should watch out for. As you probably guessed, the purpose of a home inspection is to inspect the property. So you hire an inspector during your due diligence period to come in and give their professional evaluation of what the property looks like. So a lot of times what that is the inspector goes around the house and they are of course noting the things that are in good shape, but they're especially paying attention to the things that are in bad shape or could have future issues. And so one thing that they may call out is that there is chipping paint on the front door, and that chipping paint may allow water penetration, which could rot or damage the wood over time. Something like that. So it's not always, it's not even always current issues. It may be the possibility of future issues that they're calling out. But it's in their best interest, and especially your best interest, for them to be as transparent as possible and leave no stone unturned. So here's my story about a inspection that happened on a transaction I was a part of not too long ago. We had the inspector come out and he called out what he thought might be evidence of a past and potentially future problem, which was some cracked grout on some tile work in the shower in the basement. Anyway, that raised some red flags because we thought, well, future problems and current problems and what's going on here. And we looked a little closer. We took lots of pictures. We documented it. Tried to get the inspector's opinion, and he said, really, you need to call out a specialist. So we went back to the seller and said, hey, do you know anything about this? And of course they said, no, we haven't heard anything about this. But we are still in touch with the guy who did it. We'll have him come out and take a look. So he came out and took a look, and he was like, oh, there's no problem here. It's just water got splashed out onto the baseboard. And I said, that wasn't even really the thing that we were talking about. And it also seems like a little bit of a conflict of interest that we're calling the same guy back to evaluate the quality of his own work. And so we decided to get a second opinion, which is totally normal during the inspection process, right? So we had two other contractors come out who specialize in doing these types of tile showers. And both of them agreed that there was a clear issue here that would cause problems forever, right? That there was the type of damage that had to be resolved at the very root of it, and that basically a whole portion of the shower had to be redone. So we got back into the seller. We detailed this entire email. We sent over the quotes and kind of, there was a little bit of back and forth there trying to really understand the issue and what needed to happen. And at the end of the day, the seller conceded and paid for those repairs. The reason that I tell this story is because it's totally normal for the inspector to find some things that are wrong with the house. In fact, I think that sellers sometimes become blind to the issues of their home. And so it's pretty typical for a buyer to come in and see something that the sellers may not have seen, or especially an inspector to come in and see something that the sellers may not have been aware of. It is totally normal to go back to the seller and ask for some kind of concessions, right? And open that dialogue. It does not hurt to ask. And you can go from there as to what seems fair and normal. The last thing is to always dig deeper. The inspector said, hey, there might be an issue here. I looked closer at that. I've got, kind of background in construction. I've done some of this work myself. And so I said, I think that there could be, this seems like there could be some issues deeper down. And so we called out these other tradesmen. Sure enough, they found out that there was something, additional here that needed to be resolved. And then we, of course, had to kind of go back up the chain to the seller to really ultimately get what we wanted, which was that thing taken care of. So always dig a little deeper. Always get a second opinion. It doesn't hurt to ask. Those are kind of the main points of this story. And if you've got other questions about this, feel free to reach out. I hope to talk to you soon.